The film, Dawn of the Dead, begins with an explosion of chaos and terror. The world is unraveling as strange reports flood and people are being attacked and devoured by those who were once their loved ones. The news stations are overwhelmed, broadcasting live coverage of the pandemonium gripping the nation. In the background, sirens wail, and people scream, while emergency broadcasts urge citizens to stay indoors. Social order is collapsing, and fear hangs heavily in the air as panic spreads. As the camera pans through a city under siege, we're introduced to the first of our main characters, Stephen, a news station producer, who is desperately trying to maintain some semblance of order as the situation spirals out of control. He's flanked by Francine, a skilled and determined news anchor who is trying to deliver the news as the horrors unfold outside. The urgency in their voices reflects the dread that grips the city. The broadcast cuts to the streets, where SWAT officers, including Roger and Peter, engage in desperate firefights against the flesh-eating undead. The juxtaposition of their valiant efforts against the growing tide of the undead illustrates the severity of the outbreak and the breakdown of civil society. Stephen, a level-headed producer at the news station, Stephen is committed to his job and maintaining calm amidst the chaos. His instincts to keep the public informed are constantly challenged by the horrifying reality of the situation. Francine, a courageous and resourceful news anchor, Francine embodies the spirit of resilience. Her strong will makes her a pivotal figure among her colleagues, even as she grapples with the realization that her world is coming apart. Roger, a charismatic SWAT officer with a strong sense of duty, Roger is eager to protect those in danger. His bravery is evident as he leads his team into the fray, but he also carries the weight of the decisions he must make to survive. Peter, a calm and collected member of the SWAT team, Peter's level-headedness is a counterbalance to Roger's impulsiveness. He's skilled in combat and has a pragmatic approach to survival, often taking charge when panic threatens to take over. As the situation escalates, Stephen, Francine, Roger, and Peter realize that the news station is no longer a safe place. The undead are infiltrating the city, overwhelming the authorities and creating a sense of urgency that compels them to flee. The four of them decide to escape in a helicopter owned by the station, knowing that they need to get away from the chaos before it's too late. With adrenaline coursing through their veins, they race to the rooftop helipad. The sound of gunfire echoes in the distance, and the sight of panicked citizens running for their lives only heightens their fear. Stephen pilots the helicopter, while Roger and Peter provide covering fire as they navigate through the throngs of zombies milling about below. Francine is left to manage the radio, broadcasting their escape to anyone who might be listening, urging them to find safety. As the helicopter ascends, they catch glimpses of the city crumbling beneath them. Flames licking the sides of buildings, cars overturned, and hordes of the undead wandering aimlessly. The realization hits them: this isn't just a localized outbreak, it's a full-blown apocalypse. As they soar away from the city, they debate their next move. Their destination is uncertain, but they all agree on one thing: they need to find a safe place to regroup and plan their survival. After scanning the landscape below, Roger suggests heading to the nearby shopping mall, which they believe could offer shelter and supplies. In a desperate search for safety, Stephen navigates the helicopter toward the mall, a fortified structure that looms in the distance. As they draw closer, they can see that the entrance is barricaded, and a flicker of hope ignites in their chests. But the sight is also ominous. The mall is eerily quiet, surrounded by the devastation of the world outside. Upon landing on the rooftop of the mall, they disembark, weapons at the ready. The group assesses their surroundings, cautious of the potential danger that lurks inside. With the sun setting on the horizon, they know they are stepping into the unknown. As they make their way down from the rooftop, the sense of urgency intensifies. They enter the mall through an emergency exit, immediately confronted by the smell of rot and decay. The haunting silence is broken only by the sound of their footsteps echoing through the empty halls. Inside, they find remnants of a bustling world, abandoned shopping carts, half-eaten meals left behind in food courts, and flickering lights casting shadows in the corners. It's a surreal contrast to the chaos they just fled. The group quickly begins to explore the expansive structure, looking for any survivors and assessing the situation. They discover that the mall is not entirely deserted. A handful of survivors are holed up in various corners, each one grappling with their own fear and uncertainty. Among them are a few families and individuals who have barricaded themselves, trying to ride out the storm. The group quickly realizes that their survival may depend on pooling their resources and working together. As they establish a base of operations, tensions rise. Different personalities clash, and the stress of their situation becomes evident. They must navigate not only the external threat of the undead but also the psychological toll the situation is taking on each of them. As night falls, the undead outside begin to wander closer, drawn to the sounds of life emanating from within the mall. The group fortifies their position, barricading the entrances and preparing for a confrontation. In the shadows of the mall, they devise a plan to gather supplies and fortify their defenses, knowing that the battle for survival has just begun. They must confront their fears, face the horrors of the undead, and learn to trust one another if they hope to endure the long night ahead. The first chapter of their harrowing journey sets the stage for a struggle against both the living dead and the disintegration of their humanity. As dawn approaches, the stakes rise, and the true horror of their situation begins to unfold. As the group settles into the eerie stillness of the mall, the initial rush of adrenaline begins to fade, replaced by a creeping sense of dread. The reality of their situation sets in, barricaded inside a shopping mall, surrounded by the undead, with no clear way out and an unknown future looming before them. The mall, once a vibrant center of commerce and community, now stands as a stark reminder of the world that was. Flickering fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting harsh shadows on the once inviting storefronts. Abandoned displays showcase clothes and accessories that seem to mock their plight, remnants of a life that feels increasingly distant. Stephen gathers everyone in a makeshift meeting area near the food court. The survivors look to him, their expressions a mix of hope and despair. "We need to strategize," he says, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling in his mind. "We're safe for now, but we can't afford to be complacent. We need to secure this place." Francine chimes in, "We have to assess what supplies we have, check the perimeter, and make sure we can hold our ground if they break through." Her gaze shifts to the others, gauging their reactions. "There's strength in numbers, but we need to be organized." Roger, ever the action-oriented leader, stands up and addresses the group. "I'll lead a team to scout the area and find supplies. We need food, water, weapons, whatever we can find." "Who's with me?" His determination ignites a spark of courage in some, but others look hesitant, afraid of what lies outside their temporary sanctuary. Peter steps forward, nodding in agreement. "I'll go with you, Roger. We'll cover as much ground as we can." There's a bond between the two men, a shared understanding forged through their experiences as officers. Slowly, a few others volunteer. A middle-aged man named Charlie, who had been holed up in a sports store, raises his hand. "I know the mall layout. I can help." A woman, Lisa, who has been hiding with her young daughter, also offers to join, insisting that she needs to contribute for her child's sake. As they prepare to venture out, Stephen and Francine remain behind with the others to organize defenses and monitor the situation through the mall's security cameras. The screens flicker to life, revealing various angles of the sprawling structure. Static and grainy images show the entrances, parking lot, and interior of the mall, offering a semblance of security but also a stark reminder of their isolation. With weapons in hand and makeshift gear packed, Roger, Peter, Charlie, and Lisa head out, navigating the vast corridors of the mall. The echoes of their footsteps are unsettling, a constant reminder of the threat that lurks just outside. They pass storefronts, their displays untouched but collecting dust, evidence of lives interrupted. As they approach the first set of doors leading to the outside, Roger holds up a hand to signal a stop. "Let's take a look before we go out. We need to see what we're up against." The group gathers close to a window, peering through the glass. Outside, the parking lot is littered with abandoned vehicles, many with their doors ajar or windows shattered. A few zombies wander aimlessly, their moans filling the air with an eerie soundtrack of death. The sight is chilling, but Roger's resolve hardens. We'll need to move quickly. Grab whatever we can carry and make it back. They push through the entrance doors cautiously, stepping into the open air. The fresh scent of the outdoors is laced with decay, a stark contrast to the stale air of the mall. As they cross the threshold, their senses are on high alert. Roger leads the way, his SWAT training kicking in as he scans the area for threats. Peter takes up the rear, ensuring that nothing sneaks up behind them. They reach a nearby electronics store, its glass doors shattered and displays in disarray. Inside, they quickly begin gathering supplies, batteries, flashlights, and anything that could prove useful in their desperate fight for survival. As they fill their packs, the sound of shuffling feet grows louder. "We've got company," Charlie yells, eyes wide with fear. The group looks up to see several zombies staggering toward them, drawn by the noise of their movements. Back to the entrance. Now, Roger orders, adrenaline pumping. They scramble toward the doors, but the zombies are closing in fast.